defensive ends and outside linebackers coach, Marco Coleman. On everybody's right, we have our assistant head coach and offensive line coach, Brent, as everybody knows.
For both of you guys, I'm Kelly Quinlan. I cover Georgia Tech for Rivals Jackets Online. I was just curious kind of how, I guess, you got connected with Coach Collins and kind of talk about your background with him. I know it's different for each of you guys. So, Coach Coleman and Coach Key.
Coach O'Leary is probably the middleman for everything that's probably going on around here right now. I had him as a defensive coordinator, had a strong relationship with him, and through him is where I gained my relationship with Coach Collins. So that's pretty much the gist of it, through a mutual relationship there.
99, I guess. Coach Collins was a graduate assistant here when I was playing. Became friends, kind of that player-coach type relationship, and then Coach O'Leary hired him full-time as the tight ends coach in 2001, and that was my first year having not playing, and I was a graduate assistant then, so we kind of flipped roles, and me being the graduate assistant, and he really helped me out through that year and kind of showed me the ropes, and then then he brought me to Western Carolina when in 2003 or 2004 when he was the defensive coordinator up there, and then kind of flipped roles again. I was at UCF, and he came and joined us there at UCF. So we've had a lot of different experiences together as far as work related and friendship wise.
Rod McKenzie with 247 Sports. Brett, could you talk a little bit about what you expect the transition to be like from the old offense to the new offense with the offensive line?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think expectations are kind of a broad question to ask there when you're looking at something that is kind of as different as this is. There's not a lot of things to look back at and say, okay, this is how you do it. This is kind of the path to take in this transition, offensively speaking, as far as my position or our position, the offensive line goes. So there's not a lot of background there. You kind of got to use some experiences of other people and things. But hey, at the end of the day, it's coaching, and coaching is teaching, and that's what we do. We're teachers, and I think this is going to be an unbelievable opportunity to be able to take, what I feel like is kind of like, some pieces of clay and be able to mold those together and, have those guys on the offensive line do things that they've never done before. And obviously there's ways to do that and things that I have in my repertoire and drills and things that, but it's kind of funny. We were at a coaching convention or a coaching clinic Tuesday night down in Macon, and some of you guys might know Mac McWhorter. And Coach Mack was my offensive line coach my last year here, and then was the O-line coach I kind of GA'd under that year, and we've stayed really close over the years. And Coach Mack, in that old Southern drawl that he has, said that he was here in his first year here was 1980 when Pepper Rogers had left, and they transitioned from the triple option into a pro-style offense. So it's kind of a unique situation where a guy who's a mentor for me has kind of been through the same transition that we'll be going through here, and he had some good words of advice for me.
Hi, coaches. Tori McElhaney with The Athletic. I guess this is for both of you guys, but was Georgia Tech somewhere that you hoped one day that you would return to? Was there ever anything in the back of y'all's minds that said, okay, maybe hopefully one day in my career I'd get back to this place?
Well, it's always been, a dream of mine. Once I set my sights on becoming a coach, I kind of had my direction in the professional ranks because of a lot of the relationships. But always been a dream to be able to come back here and give back to some young men the same thing that I received. So but now to think that it was going to happen is another thing. It's a lot of dreams that we have, and so fortunate and happy that it did come to fruition. Yeah, I guess to answer your question, it's something that I wished for, but to think that it was going to happen, I didn't know.
I think you could give an easy answer and say yes or no to that and kind of be done with it. But yeah, I mean, I think everyone has the aspirations of coming back to a place that really helped mold them and make them into the person that they are today, which this place did, and this place is so much of who I am as a man, as a father, as a husband, as a coach and a teacher today. So yeah, those kind of dreams have always been there to be back at a place, but once you kind of get started in the coaching profession and through the coaching ranks, you don't really work to go to a certain place. And some of the best advice I ever got was when I started coaching, and they said, you got to be happy being a coach regardless of where you're at. And I made a commitment to myself that regardless of where I was coaching, that I was going to be happy wherever I was coaching, and I wasn't going to look for that next job to do the task at hand and work as hard as you can at that place you're at, because that's how you do get the next job, and not to worry about the next job. So to say that I kind of dreamed of being here, I don't know if I could actually say yes, but I don't want you to take it the wrong way by me saying that it wasn't, because I've always been focused on the task at hand, on the job at hand, and was taught not to look forward at other jobs.
Coach Key, you've had an opportunity to see kind of the big picture of Georgia Tech from the outside and recruit against Georgia Tech and those sorts of things. Do you feel like that gives you kind of an advantage now, knowing kind of what people and what the outside perceptions are and how to use that to your advantage and in the recruiting aspects of this and knowing kind of the different eras of this program too?
I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but I mean, to be honest, I have not recruited against Georgia Tech in a long time, and that's a shame that I do say that, because I do love this place. I am so fond of this place, and knowing what the place is, I mean, I don't really know. It almost sounded like, Kelly, like that was like a negative thing that you were saying that people would say. I mean, hell, this place is the most special place in the world. I mean, to be able to sit here and say that people would say anything negative about it, everything goes on in recruiting. I mean, recruiting is a war. It is an absolute battleground every single day. All right, it's like shaving. If you don't wake up and do it every day, you ain't getting good at it. Okay, in recruiting, that's what it is. All right, and people are going to have words and say things, but you know what? I went through this place. This place made me who I am today. Okay, I know the truth about this place. Somebody's asked me, "Well, how are you going to recruit to Georgia Tech different than you were at Alabama?" It's going to be easier. It's going to be so much easier. I've got more to offer. Tuscaloosa, Atlanta. Outstanding academics. We wake up every morning, look what's in our hands. Technology, technology, technology. First thing you do when you wake up in the morning, probably. Look where we're at, in the epicenter of it all. So I don't know if that answered your question. You got me a little fired up there. but I think you can tell how happy I am to be here.
Marco, you transitioned from the pro game to the college game, and naturally in the pro game, you had the GM take care of personnel. What is, in the short time you've been on the road, what has it been like for you to get back into that war and that grind?
I'll tell you, I'm really fortunate to have someone like Brent Key, Coach Collins, and so many and the other veterans within the group that have that experience. I know what talent looks like. I've been a football player, been doing it all my life. I've been in the locker room with a lot of guys. They at the point of where they're professionals, but also I know what it looks like. Coached in high school, also got that experience. So to your point, it's been pretty good. I've enjoyed it. And to be absolutely honest with you, it's a different atmosphere. Like I said, I'm looking forward to what I'm able to give back now in a professional game. Of course, you make friends, you make relationships, but at the end of the day, I might have to fire you. You know what I mean? So it's a different kind of relationship. But now with these young men, I get to actually plant the seed, water the plant, prune it, just watch it grow. That's something I'm looking forward to. People continue to ask me about, man, how you doing on the road, that grind on the road. I said, man, this is wonderful. To sit in front of a young man's family, to sit in or talk to him, talk to a coach, and tell him, look, man, I got something to offer you. You know what I mean? And see their eyes light up when Georgia Tech, when they see this Georgia Tech come in the room, it lights them up. And that brings a lot of joy to me. I look forward to it. I don't have a problem with it. I'm enjoying the recruiting, to answer your question.
Marco, Ken Seguir with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
You came here kind of under different circumstances than the other guys. I'm curious, kind of, what was that couple of days like when, because I understand that you talked with Coach Collins before, but how things all unfolded that brought you here?
Well, actually, I had spoken to Coach Collins and, didn't know exactly where it stood. I think he had actually had someone here. But I was just going about my business, actually. And just, then I got a phone call, to say, hey, Marco, we want you here. And I said, man, well, I'm there. When you want me there? Can you come tomorrow? I said, yeah, I'm there. I dropped everything, because it's, again, I dreamt of being here, didn't anticipate it happening, thought it may be a chance, but then time went on. I went on about my business and preparing for other things. And then, I was fortunate to where I could say this out of the blue. I don't say out of the blue, but Coach called me, wasn't expected, and here I am. Looking forward to getting things started.
Coach Key, Coach Collins seems to be very excited about having you here. He said on multiple occasions, I think, that you were one of his best friends for 20-plus years. Can you just speak to that relationship? And also, is he one of your best friends for 20 years? Is that feeling mutual?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of talked about that earlier, the things we've been through over the last 20 years. And anytime you work with somebody in 3 different places, now this being the 4th, and 2 of those times was underneath Coach O'Leary, you tend to get pretty close. You kind of tight. I've known his wife for all of those 20-plus years. I got out of coaching for a year and thought I wanted to go into the real world, the so-called real world. Well, I didn't know what the real world was. I had no clue. And it took me about 6 weeks of waking up every morning and tying that tie to realize I was a football coach. Well, what I didn't realize was how hard it is to get back in once you get out. And I'll never forget, it was August 1st of 2004, because it was my birthday. And Coach Collins was coaching at Western Carolina and called me up and said, we have a restricted earnings spot to coach running backs and tight ends. He said, before you say yes or no, I just want you to know that it's not a great pay. The housing situation isn't great as far as where you would live. And sight unseen, didn't care about anything. I packed my stuff up in the back of a Jeep Cherokee, and I left the apartment I was staying in with George Godsey and Brett Baskin. And I pulled out of, rolled around 285, went north up to Cullowhee, North Carolina, sight unseen, and I was working full-time on August the 2nd of that year. And for Coach Collins to have the faith in me to bring me up there to a staff that no one knew, no one knew me. I'll never forget, it was a place called Speedy's Pizza. Once I finally rolled into town, him and Jennifer were at Speedy's Pizza, and I met him there and had split a pizza with him to welcome me to Cullowhee, North Carolina. So, I mean, that's just one of the experiences I can tell. I mean, watching Super Bowls with them through the time, each other, him, my wedding, I mean, our children. I mean, I could go on and on. I don't know if that gives you a little bit of a dose that we are. Yeah, we're pretty close.
Cody.
Coaches, Cody Chaffins from Fox 5 here in Atlanta. We had Jemias commit on the air this morning. We've done a lot of those over the years. Not a lot of those kids that are at that level have put the Georgia Tech hat on recently. What was the feeling like as you guys watched in the room, and what kind of statement does that make about this program?
I mean, it was huge. Jemias is a phenomenal player, and it also set the tone for that's where we're going with this. It's going to be more of those. We're going after those athletes. Like Brent said, there's only one way to recruit, and that's to go after the best, and we want that here at Georgia Tech. I mean, it was exciting to get the first one going, the first one rolling that caliber. Or again, he's a high school athlete, still senior. Now he's a freshman at Georgia Tech, so he's he was a superstar in high school, and let's see if hopefully we're praying he's that same guy on the flats. So it's more to come. As the years go on, we'll continue to have those. So you make sure you guys stay available and locked into the place.
Coach Coleman, correct me if I'm wrong, but once you retired from the NFL and everything, you actually went into a career in finance. Pretty good career, I'd say. I haven't looked too terribly much into it, but what made you want to get into coaching? What was kind of that aha moment for you as far as changing the trajectory of your life?
Well, you know, one of the things about the financial services industry I found is I was a coach, just a financial coach. And through the experience I went through, and one of the things in the financial services industry they tell you about, as I learned, was to gather a niche. And for me, being a professional athlete, my niche was the professional athletes, so and specifically football players. So as I was going through these football players, and I gained those guys as clients, I found myself, okay, yeah, we got things secure financially. Now we're talking about football. I'm coaching them on steps. I'm coaching them on how to do different things as it pertains to football, to where just very similar to what Brent said, okay, I'm throwing this tie on and I'm talking about it, everything is taking me right back to this gridiron and explaining and coaching. And so I got into high school coaching, and then that's when I started to, visiting like the Senior Bowl and the Combine. I got more enamored with that process and what the guys were doing as opposed, and I almost forgot about why I was there, So those are the things, over the course of a couple of years in that industry and working with people, that I realized that it wasn't that I didn't like the financial services industry, I just loved football, so that's what did it.
Brent, you kind of touched on this before, but obviously externally, if you're looking at, why would a guy leave Alabama where he's, offensive line coach to go to Georgia Tech? I'm curious, can you kind of talk through your decision process of how you got from, deciding that this is what you wanted to do?
It's home. And I can guarantee you this, when we're done changing the culture under the vision of what Coach Collins wants to do, no one will ever ask that question again. It's real, guys. This is real. This is real. And for us to change the mindset that people have of what Georgia Tech is in the scope of college football, that's what Coach Collins is here for. That's what we're here for with him. That's what we believe it is. And I know in different eyes, it is seen different, Ken, and I won't be a smart butt to you by any means. But that's what we see this place as. That's what we feel it as. I get more energy walking out on that field right there than I do walking out in front of 110,000 people anywhere else. I see the lights of the city. I feel the energy. We've bled on that field. We know what can come through here. Look at this dude. He's still flipping tires out there with the players, like, making us all look like horrible. But I mean, these are the guys that have been through here. And that's what that's our feel. That's our belief. It's not a vision that's going to be something that's going to go dead in 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. This is real. This is real. And one day at a time, one person at a time, one mind at a time, we will change the way people think about Georgia Tech football.
When you guys, the word got out that both of you were hired, what was the response like from your former teammates? I imagine you got a lot of phone calls.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. They was blowing us up for quite a while. Guys, like I think that Coach Collins had mentioned it, a lot of guys hadn't been around, for whatever reason. Everyone has their different reasons for that. But now, all of a sudden, because you have myself, you have Coach Key, you have Coach Choice, Coach Burton, and others that are working in roles within the organization too, that now it's embraced. That family atmosphere that I came to know, and I came in, the first person that I met when I came in as a freshman was Pat Swilling. I said, man, that made a difference for me. And so now these young men, when they walk in, Calvin Johnson's going to come in. Derek Morgan is going to walk through the door. Mike Johnson, Pat Swilling will be back. You know what I mean? So these are the people that have paved the way. And I think it's important for these players to see that. And now that we are here, they're embraced, and you can look to see them quite often. And it was a lot of guys. I mean, yeah, I got tired of talking to people, to be honest with you.
A couple more for Coach Key and Coach Coleman.
It seems kind of like there's a way, the way the staff's been assembled, and you guys can talk about this. It seems like you're bridging all the different gaps basically over the really since about the mid 80s, almost late 90s. You got yourself, Coach Choice, and Coach Burton, who've all been here with the different coaches. Can you just talk about kind of trying to build that thing? It seems like Georgia Tech football became a little bit faction-y over the different eras, really after Coach O'Leary left. Can you just kind of talk about trying to bridge that gap and make it all one family and all Georgia Tech?
Well, I think the key to any successful, especially college football program, is the former players, the people that have been on the field, the people that have been through the program, the people that really feel special about the place. I was talking to my wife last night, and I kind of equated. I said, if somebody was asking me to give money to a certain organization or something, something outside of football, and they were asking me to give money to football to a place I played, I would give twice as much money to the football to the place I played as I would any of the other organizations that would be brought up, just because of the attachment and the feeling that you have towards that place. And when you can get all the people back involved, you've really strengthened the heartbeat of that program. You've brought other people around, and it's not just, and that part of it isn't just for the recruiting. You didn't the show on Saturdays of the players on the sidelines and, with the teams. That's great. That's a great part of it, but it's the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's former players on the field after a long Tuesday practice. It's players in the building. It's players having relationships with, or former players having relationships with current players so they can bend their ear, they can lean on them, they can ask them for advice. Guys like me and Marco, our age, we can tell them the things we messed up when we were here. We can tell them the things we screwed up that we would have done different. And when you hear somebody that's played here and gone through the program that you have and gone through taking the same steps that you have, I think it really makes it a lot more real. And like I said, it strengthens the heartbeat of the entire program, and to be able to have everybody involved and have everybody back involved, because you're right, there has been a separation of former players throughout the years, whatever reason, okay? But we feel it, we see it, we still have the contact with those guys. Hey, during the week, what are you doing? I mean, they would come. I've coached, at the other places I've been. And teammates of ours would come visit and bring their families and stay in our house. And we'd have a blast. I'm like, why aren't you going back home? Why aren't you going to Tech games? Well, I'm just not, for whatever reason, okay? And now that's going to happen. A lot of that, too, though, is about the people. It's about the culture that Coach Collins is creating here. He is creating a culture of the open arm, open door, inviting everybody, wanting everybody back here, helping to strengthen the bloodlines of the program. That's his mission. That's his culture. It's like, and my grandmother used to tell me all the time when we go to church, the church isn't the building, the church is the people inside. And that's what a football program is. The football program isn't the stadium. It's not the building we're in now. It's about the people. And the more people you can get involved, the stronger that program is going to be.
Last one.
Marco, you mentioned Coach O'Leary and just his influence, and I guess I see you too, Brent. Can you describe just kind of what, there's other guys on the staff that played for him. What role did he have, and kind of what in bringing you guys here, and kind of what has he meant to you guys over your post football careers?
Well, for me, as a player, I learned real quickly what it's going to take to survive Georgia Tech. I didn't look anywhere beyond. I credit Coach O'Leary a significant amount for my career. The toughness, the attention to detail, the attitude. Everything that encumbers football. He was a heck of a football coach. He said, and you get the same thing. With no gray area. It's black and white. That's it. Where he stood, very honest, and which you respect that. Now, a lot of, I won't say sometimes, but a lot of times you didn't like what he had to say. But as you grow older and you mature, you recognize that everything he said was right on point. And that's, you pretty much is going to see his reflection in everything that I do. I'm pretty sure in the program, matter of fact, today we had a drill Coach Collins called the George O'Leary drill. You know what I mean? So his influence is definitely going to reign around here for quite a few guys.
As far as me, I played 17 years of my life. I'm 40. 17 years of my life now. Okay, I have spent the entire time, the entire day with him. 12 years as a coach and 5 years as a player. That's not knowing him. That's spending, working, being beside him. Okay? And the other 3 were with Coach Saban. All right, there's a reason I'm like, got no hair now. Okay? All right, there's a reason for that. But when you want to boil it down to what Coach O'Leary is, the 2 things were accountability and responsibility. Those are the 2 principles that his entire program was based on, accountability and responsibility. And I think you'll see those same things in Coach Collins and what Coach Collins wants to do in the players being accountable and being responsible. And at the same time, that starts with the coaches, starts with us as coaches being able to mentor those players and being able to show them the right way of doing things about being accountable and being responsible. He's meant a lot to me in my career, in my life, and we joke around that with me and Marty and Tim and Chris and Trish, his 4 kids, that I've probably spent more time with him than his kids have over those years. So, with the exception of Marty, because he played and worked with us the whole time too. So, but it means a lot. There's probably 2 men in the world that I won't call by their first name. And one of them's Coach O'Leary, and one of them's Coach Wood, my high school football coach. That's the respect I have for those men.